But to be a strong nation, we must also be a wealthy or a rich nation. But they say, Mr. President-elect, it doesn't sound good when you say rich nation. I say we have to be a rich nation if we're going to rebuild our military. If we're going to build the wall, we have to be a rich nation. If we're going to repeal and replace Obamacare, we have to know what we're doing. And we have to be a wealthy nation again.
President-elect Trump on his thank you tour, he says, yep, it's important that we are rich again. Well, look who's with us now, someone who is rich. His name is Maurice Pearl, and he is the chair of Patriotic Millionaires. Correct, sir?
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me on, Stuart.
And you're a part of a group of wealthy people, and you don't want tax cuts. Is that correct?
No, I don't. I disagree with Mr. Trump. He thinks we should have...
But you don't want tax cuts?
No, I don't. Not for the rich people. I think the less wealthy people should have the tax cuts.
You don't think we should have tax cuts at all?
I think that the poorest among us, yes. I think the people who make lower incomes should have tax cuts. I think the people who have higher incomes should pay more taxes than people who have lower incomes.
I live in New York City at the moment.
So do I.
Okay. And I pay a 61% tax rate. When you factor in federal, state, and city taxes, I pay 61 cents on the dollar in income taxes. I think that's way too much.
Well, there's a reason you live...
What do you think I should pay?
There's a reason you live in New York,
What do you think
Stuart.
I should pay?
I think you should pay a higher rate than the rest of the people who work here.
More than 61%?
No, I don't think you should pay more than 61%, but I don't think you should pay less either. I think that you live in the greatest city in the world.
I think it's flat out immoral for any government to take more than half of any man's income. Well, then you disagree with me?
You should live in Alabama instead, where there's
I live in
plenty
New York. And I don't see why I should have to pay 61% of my tax. But let's put that on the side for a second. You're a wealthy guy. You make a lot of money. Are you going to give back the tax cut that Mr. Trump will give you?
Well, I'm going to pay taxes.
Are you going to give it back?
I actually retired a few years ago to do policy work to help people full time.
So
I don't make
you
much
don't
income
care
anymore.
about people like me who do work for a living and pay 61%.
I do feel very sorry for you, Stuart.
Really?
But I feel that you live in the greatest city in the world because there's a reason you live here.
Well, okay, what about the other people in your millionaire group? People who earn maybe $5 million a year, whatever it is. Do you think, will they give back the money that they're going to get extra because of the tax cut? Will they give it back?
Most of the people in my group are mostly spend their money on philanthropic causes and do a good job trying to help their country be a better country. That's not
answering the question, Maurice.
We are trying to...
If a tax cut is so bad for wealthy people, why don't wealthy people give it back?
Look, we live in a nation that was founded as commonwealths. That's why we have to do things through a commonwealth and the common good.
The question. I understand what taxation is all about, but will you give it back?
No, I don't think anyone gives back.
So
I think everyone pays taxes as the law requires, but we have to change the system.
Don't you think it's a moral imperative? I mean, if it's so bad, if rich people don't need all this extra money, isn't there a moral imperative? They don't need it, shouldn't take it. Give it back. It's a moral imperative here.
We have been using our powers to try to change the system so that those who are wealthier pay more. We don't want a race to the bottom. Donald Trump wants to make America more like Ireland, lowering corporate taxes to match other countries.
He wants to stimulate the economy.
Well, stimulating the economy the way other countries have made other countries go bankrupt and need bailouts.
It didn't work with President Obama. He raised taxes across the board, taxes at a very, very high level. Never met a tax he didn't like. Well, we've had 2% growth, that's it.
Well, taxes were only raised for the top bracket, not for the others.
Yeah, it didn't do any good, did it?
It certainly did a lot of good for a lot of people. This country's doing very well.
It didn't get the country moving.
The country's certainly moving well enough for you here. Are you going to work harder, Stuart?
Okay.
If you get a lower tax rate, are you going to do more? And
I'm going to do a whole lot more with the money that I get back.
Are you going to run your show 4 hours a day instead of only 3?
I've got 6 kids and 9 grandchildren. Don't you think I'm going to do something for those kids which will stimulate the economy? Don't you think? I think that the money that I get from this tax cut will be much better spent by me than by the government if it kept it.
Well, are you going to have more people working here? Are you going to run your show for 4 hours a day instead of 3?
Oh, I might buy another house, in which case I'll employ builders and carpenters and people who do electricity and that kind of thing. Of course I'm going to employ more people with the money which I get back.
Look, sir,
what's wrong with that?
If you, as a billionaire, get more
I'm not a billionaire.
It's your children and grandchildren. They're going to have more money and benefit from that.
No.
That's not going to benefit most of the economy.
I am going to invest in assets which employ people, which eventually will go to my children and grandchildren, as is my right as a human being.
Well, those of us who are less wealthy spend their money. They don't invest it in assets. Investing in assets is not what grows the economy.
Yes, it is.
Spending money is what grows the economy.
Morris, are you serious?
Yes.
Investing in assets doesn't grow the economy? Really?
Spending money at your businesses, that's what grows the economy. Most of our economy is small businesses, not the assets that trade in the stock exchange.
I run a couple of other businesses which I can now invest in more. I've got one last question for you, though, Morris.
Sure.
If you earn $1 million, let's say you make $50 million a year, that's your income, okay?
Yeah.
Not your wealth, that's your income. What tax rate should you pay?
Well, I think the tax rates of around 39% is the right tax rate for somebody who earns $50 million a year.
Plus state and federal taxes, and plus state taxes and city taxes.
And if that person chooses to live in a locality like New York that has the things that we have, yes, they should pay for that.
You don't see anything immoral about taking more than half of any man's income?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay. All right. Well, you've got the moral high ground. I'm just a filthy striver. You know how it is.
Thank you, Stuart.
Welcome. Morris, but you're going to come back.
I will.
I want to see you come back, okay?
That'd be great. I'm looking forward to being here.
Cool,
again,
calm, and collected. It's me that's getting emotional here. You realize that?
Well, that's what sells TV, is emotion.
As a matter of fact, you're right. Did you make your money in television?
No, no.
Where'd you make your money?
Financial services.
Financial services. Okay.